This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Innovative methods and tips for harvesting yeast as a home brewer with Trong Ngyuen. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 396. Well, hello, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could email me, joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, or even better, call your question in, leave a voicemail, don't be scared, to 325-305-6107. And when I use your voicemail question on a future episode, and I'm probably gonna because I'm getting desperate, you're gonna get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Pretty good, right? Not too bad. It's a special episode. My friends, I'm so happy to introduce our buddy Trong Ngyuen is back. He's one of my favorite people in the world. But before, let me read the things I wrote about you, Trong. In case you've forgotten, Trong is the most interesting man in homebrewing. He is the guy behind such popular products as the Float It Dip Tube, the Flow Control Pitnet Tap, and of course the upcoming Pot to Brew True all-in-one brewing system. Trong, my friend, thank you for coming back.
Hey, hi Josh. Good to be here again.
You are in the top 2 of most requested return guests of the show's history. Everybody, wow. I know, it's you and Horst Dornbush. I get emails or text messages weekly. When is Trong coming back? Where is Trong? And I have to say, I'm getting him back, guys. I'm getting him, and he's here. Okay. I got you.
Okay. Good.
It's so good to see you. I know you weren't under the weather, but you're recovering a little. I appreciate you taking the time. I didn't know until you got on the Zoom, and I was like, Tron, we could redo it. And you're like, no, we're doing this. So yeah. I sincerely appreciate your time. Before we get to the meat and potatoes and catching up with you, let me get through a little bit of small talk. and then we'll get to the part why I even had you on the show. So friends, I'm going to try to do this in record time. Right now, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join a recipe receiving tier, and you're going to get Todd's ESB. That's an extra special bitter. It's an English beer, and it's delicious. If you want to know my opinions on it, I love it, first off. But if you go on our YouTube channel, I think it was from 2018, maybe 2019, Todd and James did a 10-gallon batch of this on the Cooler Brew, right when we had gotten those systems in. Spoiler, Cat Connection doesn't sell those systems anymore, I wish, but it was hard to source them, and then prices went up and yada, yada, yada. Either way, that batch is one of the best batches of beer either one of them have ever brewed to this day. And it might be one of those cases where the fish is this big and I'm romanticizing it and remembering it differently, but I'm promising you, delicious recipe. Again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and join a recipe receiving tier. Thank you to our sponsors, Muntons Malt, Hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast for always supporting the things that we're doing. With that being said, Brew Day Live, watch my pop and I brew the incredible ESB live on August 30th, 2024 at 10 a.m. Central at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. If you're already watching this episode, you're already here. And while you're here, why don't you hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, all that stuff. It helps us with the algorithm. What really helps us with the algorithm, I'm told, is when you comment below, whether that's just a, hey, Josh, I'm appeasing you because you're a filthy beggar, or you actually have something to say, leave it in the comments below. And I will say, if you're an audio only listener, this episode with Trong is pretty visual heavy. Might be worth going to the YouTube channel and checking it out. Or do whatever you want. You're an adult. I don't care. But Brew Day Live is coming up on Friday, August the 30th at 10 a.m. Central. Also, the rest of this month, product placement here, 15% off complete keg kits at kegconnection.com. If you just go to kegconnection.com and you click on the homepage banner, you'll see what I'm talking about. It'll take you to that category. These are phenomenal kits. They are already priced well, and 15% off. These are the best bang for your buck for a complete draft system. I'm talking, it includes kegs, it includes CO2, it includes everything you need to dispense your beer, soda, wine, kombucha, whatever you want to do. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. All that stuff. Go to kegconnection.com, use promo code HHH, or if you're in the Chub Club, you have even more savings given to you. Last but not least, Alt-Pokal Altbier World Championships 2024 is coming up. Registration's live. Go to homebrewhappyhour.com. At the top of the page, click on Alt-Pokal. Register now. It is a little bit slow this year, being very transparent. We don't have a ton of people. I think we're up to 20 of the 40, which 20 is a lot. But there's always people that drop out too. So I'm not holding my breath that all 20 are in. However, if you think you brew the best alt beer and want to win prizes, get a shirt for sure, get an obnoxiously large trophy if you are the grand champion, go enter altpokal.com. Probably easier, just go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on Alt-Pokal at the top, and register for Alt-Pokal 2024, the Alt Beer World Championships. Trong, my friend, I'm catching my breath. That was as quick as I could get through small talk. Now that I've gotten through all that, people who have hit the fast forward button, stop now. It's the meat and potato of the show. Let's catch up with you before we talk about all that beautiful stuff on the foreground of your screen or on your kitchen table there. I want to see, what have you been up to? It's actually been, I think, 2 months since we've had you on the show. Time flies. I feel like you were on not too long ago. It was a little less than 2 months ago. What have you been up to? I know your products are selling good because Keg Connection sells a ton of floatits, but how is the life of Homebrewer Lab and Trong Ngyuen?
Well, thank you for asking. I've been, of course, life is always busy around here, especially the lab is really my kitchen. You know, the Homebrewer Lab is really my kitchen. And really the kitchen is a place for invention. Things are created in the kitchen. Right? So it's very appropriate. And in fact, we manufacture and make everything in this kitchen, you know, all night long. And it's beautiful. And they ship this little kitchen shipping all over the world, all over the world. Like, for example, you see these potter brews behind me here. I'm pressure test them, and this afternoon they will go to South Africa.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Hey,
yes,
you're not kidding. Yes. You ship all over.
Yes, sir. We ship basically all over the world, and our especially our floated are really the number one sellers, and they're getting, that Cake Connection sell a ton of them.
We do.
And we sell, we do really well. But getting a new product like a Potter Brew, ready for prime time takes a lot of work because there are many, many parts that go in that. And what makes the Potter Brew work well is I see here, we're going to use this to collect yeast from. I have this Potter Brew, which I brew on August, a Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago, and we make, and I make this 1 gallon Galaxy Hop IPA with an early adopter. Many of the people who got the early adopter get my Potter Brew. I usually ask them to brew the first batch with me so that we can go through all the rundown. And this is it's always a lot of fun. So we brew it together not last Thursday, but the Thursday before last. And we drank it last Thursday. And he drank it, and I drank it. We serve his people, and everything gone in one party. Everybody just loved this thing. So I saved this thing for this episode that we're going to collect yeast, right? So I see this is almost empty. It's actually empty. So I haven't opened it yet, but we're gonna show you how we're gonna harvest yeast from this Potter Brew that we brewed 2 weeks ago. So the yeast in here is still very young. So the nice thing about that, we actually can brew another batch right in this pot right now. Like we can make another batch of wood, we dump on here, and we brew again. Of course, we're gonna have beer very fast. But today we're gonna show you how to harvest yeast from this batch. So a Potter Brew takes a lot of work as a sensor because it have all the reason the Potter Brew is really the most versatile and the one and the only brewware in the world because it can do everything. You can brew things in a pint. In fact, last night I brew. This is really interesting. I brew 2 batch of beer from Mr. Beer, from Mr. Beer, and this is the porter from Mr. Beer, and 2 gallons, one of which in the Potter Brew, and one of it in the pinter. I said to see how compared with the two, and I have to say, brewing in the Potter Brew with Mr. Beer porter is a lot easier in a Potter Brew than in the pint. I have I like both the same.
I love the awkward position you have put me in. No, it's not awkward at all. So let me go back a step. In full disclosure, I am one of the early adopters of a Potter Brew. Trong and I brewed together probably a month ago because I've been enjoying the blonde ale that I came up with the extract that I had around the office. Although we'll get into a whole deeper episode on the Potter Brew in the near future, I suspect, because you'll have more for retail. But it can do all grain, if you're wondering right now at this moment, consuming this show, not wanting to wait for the Potter Brew episode. But I did extract to get just my hands, dipping the toes, dipping the fingers, I guess is what I'm doing on screen, into the wort and learning the system. And so Tron, you insisted, hey, we're going to brew together, buddy. And so I did, and it went great. It was very easy. And also, though, I joke about the awkwardness. The Pinter people, they've been on the show. They sent me a unit. I actually got Tron a unit as well on my own dime. It was actually Todd's dime. But either way, we got Tron one just because you are. It wasn't what intrigues me about you all the time, Tron, is you weren't necessarily getting the Pinter to crap on it. You were getting it to learn from it and see what it does good and what it doesn't do good to enhance what you're doing. That's what it's all. When we get into the real meat and potatoes of the show, like some of the products you're coming up with for yeast harvesting, it all stems from Tron's brain of doing something and going, how can I make this experience easier and better, and for you specifically, more sustainable? I know that's always a big deal for what you're doing.
You think you got the point, because I'm not a company. I'm just a crazy guy making crazy stuff in my own kitchen for the world. Yeah. So when I make things for me first and foremost. I want to learn from me. And what I learn, good, bad, or otherwise, hopefully good, I share with the world.
Exactly.
And because of that, I'm retired. So this is basically my hobby. I make things. When I'm not making these things, nobody gonna make these things because it's so freaking crazy.
It is
all
crazy.
the little minutia, and that's why my part are really crazy. Therefore, it takes some explaining, even for the people who would experiment. That's why I experience. That's why I said that when you get my pot of brew, I insist that you have to brew the first batch with me. You brew your beer in your kitchen with me brewing my beer in my kitchen, and then we compare notes. And that way,
Yes.
people really have fun. We get to explain certain crazy thing to my funny early adopter, and pretty soon that can be good on their own.
Trong, you're crazy. I'm crazy. It's why we get along. It's why it's such a good duo dynamic we've got going on when you're on the show. So yeah, briefly gone over, because I don't know the full disclosure too, guys. This episode may be super. This is a topic that Trong has become passionate about as he's been brewing, again, for the sake of saving money and longevity and all that. Because if I bring up this, like if I had Owen from Imperial on the show and I'm like harvesting yeast, he'd be like, "Here's how you do it." But Josh, let me just send you this. So this isn't necessarily like me going, I'm really into yeast harvesting now, but it's a topic that I love that we haven't touched as Homebrew Happy Hour before. And so I'd like to start it off, Trong, with asking about like, what is yeast harvesting, period? There's a lot of people who listen to the show that are brand new. What is yeast harvesting, and why would a home brewer care about harvesting yeast?
Well, as a former yeast geneticist, actually, you believe it or not, I spent years at university studying yeast and Drosophila. Both of them are really, because Drosophila fruit fly eat yeast. They love to eat yeast, and therefore I have to study both of them. And I learned how to, of course, handle yeast, how to cultivate them, how to grow them, how to create mutation out of them for various things. So I'm familiar with yeast. So now I'm brewing beer, and of course, after that part, my career is in baking. I used to run a baking company in Sacramento, so we have like 20 bakeries, and of course, we bake with yeast. Baking is a fermentation process, except with dough instead of with wood, right? So when I start brewing beer, I used a lot of my experience both in university and in the baking world to put it together to making beer. So therefore, you understand now there's a lot of crazy things come from that, because I married between the two. But yeast to me is, in baking, we don't care so much about contamination, because we're gonna mix the yeast in. Whether you got the other strain, that sometimes it's desirable to have some other thing contaminate, so-called contamination in, for example, sourdough, have yeast and lactobacillus together to get the sour taste of the sourdough, and that's good, right? That, to us, that's terrible, but contamination. So, but in bread baking, that is good, because we give a different flavor, different character, and then we bake everything, so we kill everything, so we're done, right? But yeast, on the other hand, in beer, we got to make sure that nothing else, not strange thing, go in our beer. So we have the first thing, and we all know when making beer, the top on the lid is sanitation. You make sure you get what you get. You don't get crazy thing, unexpected thing in. So number one in beer brewing is sanitation. Everything has to be sterile. So that in my mind, as a yeast scientist, I think everything had to be. And of course, we use sand, we use sanitizer to spray things down, basically to sanitize. But in my world, I want to go beyond sanitize. I want to kill every freaking thing, So, and I want to do it cheap. I don't want to do it fast.
Yep.
So the best thing to do all that is heat. For me, heat is important. So, that's why I created a pot of brew, when we, instead of use sand, we just boiled the shit out of it, and we just sterilize from that, and we never have any problem with that. And of course, with harvesting yeast, the first thing we need is a sterile container with a sterile medium, which is the wood, and we need something that we can feed the yeast with oxygen during the proliferation phase, propagation phase. So, and if we have all those things handy, why not get some yeast left over from your brew and just stretch it, right? Of course, I forgot to tell you, I'm also cheap. So everything save money, everything making sense is okay for me, especially, it's something that's, fairly easy to do. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to do. And we have a lot of yeast in here. Like in this pot right here, if I open this, there is like billion and billion of yeast in here. And they're young yeast, so why don't we just stretch it? I mean, not that we use it forever to put all the yeast company out of business. We should do that. We just stretch what we have, and we also can do this about, typically one you can do it up to 5, 7, or 10 generations if you're careful. But at home we use it 1 or 2 to 3 times, and then we buy new package of yeast just to keep everybody happy, right? And keep us happy too. But now we have, I know many home brewers harvesting yeast. That's the old thing. A lot of them do. I'm just create a way that I want to show people how I do it and why I do it that way, and why you may want to consider doing the same thing. Because, as I said before, I do everything for me. So everything has to be good for me first. And if it's good for me, there's a good chance it's good for you. So
the funny thing too is I do everything for me too, but it's not nearly as beneficial to other people as when you do it, Trong. Like mine's much more selfish endeavor. But no, I do. And when I reached out to you, I don't know, a week or 2 ago, or we really finalized, hey, we're gonna get you on the show because I'm about to be out of town, and Todd is already out of town, and so I was like, that's perfect. It lines up great. And you're like, how about on yeast harvesting? And I was like, what? Why yeast harvesting? And you sent me the cool product. Again, we'll get to this and all that, but you were so excited to talk about a topic that I wouldn't think a person would get excited about, which again is just helping people stretch things out, like using yeast to create consistently good beer and get the most bang from your initial investment, because you're trying to make it more accessible to people to continue doing it, have fun doing it, and not spend a fortune doing it. So I interrupted you. I'll let you continue.
Okay, now there is, just allow me to be a little winding, running around a little bit here, because it was talking about that. As I said earlier, having a fermentation environment and fermentation medium is very important. Having a way to provide yeast to supply the growing yeast with sterile air, oxygen, so that you don't have to worry about that. And having a way, when you're done with harvesting the yeast or growing the yeast, you can put it away in the refrigerator and not having to burp every few weeks. Because that some of you have done, you do it in a mason jar or whatever, you seal it, you stick it in a microwave to your refrigerator. Every now and then you may come in there and see the lid will blow up, because even in cold environments, the yeast still fermenting slowly and build up pressure. And therefore, it's been known that you should burp your yeast jar either in the refrigerator every now and then. So that's a nuisance. So I've then been thinking about how to do all this, how to create a way so that you have an environment, a sterile environment, so that you can supply sterile air to the growing yeast, and then how we can store them without having to burp them, right? And then have the yeast sterile. So those are simple things. Many people have lived with that, but I'm kind of like how to do it better, how to put it easier. Okay, so the sterile thing, the best thing I mentioned earlier is by heat. And the best way to do with heat is generate the heat by microwave, because faster, it's cheaper, and we all have microwave. And the container, that's the heat source. The container, the best container that we all have, and cheap container, is mason jar. We all have mason jar. You have mason jar. I have mason jar. Different size. But we could never use mason jar in microwave, because mason jar have metal lid, right? And you cannot put a mason jar with metal lid in the microwave, because the lid will, if you close it the pressure will build up and blow the lid up, or it create a sparking up from the metal lid. So that doesn't work. So I run into a company in Ohio for Quality Plastic, and they have been making plastic mason jar band, not the lid. They use just the band and they use metal lid on top, right? This is for canning and various things. And I bought it from them for the band, and then about a month and a half ago, in the order they sent it to me, they sent in some brand new lid that just come out of the factory. Just for some reason, I mean, I must put some impression on them that they sent me like 6 of the new lid. That actually the total lid. This lid, the lid that we have right now. That not just the band, but the whole lid. So I said, wow, this is a plastic lid. And then people have made plastic lids for mason jar before, but they're all very flimsy. You know what? They're flimsy in that when you try to open them, you squeeze them, and then you create more friction, which means it's harder to open. These guys are the only one that can make the thing really make of nylon, and they're really hard. You cannot squeeze them. So therefore, it's easy to close and open. Now, but it doesn't. So because of that, I just happened to have about many years ago. I invented a valve. I have a valve, the green valve that you see on here. The valve that I actually have a patent on this thing. The valve I call it the mother of all valves, because it's the valve that can do everything you can expect a valve to do. It's a bidirectional valve. It has an umbrella valve on the outside, on the outside of the valve for the gas to come out, and in the middle they have a duck bill valve for the air to come in. And then I also have a plug so that we can go from bidirectional to single directional, the way how you use it. Now, with this valve, I can put on this new lid, right? So now I can put the new lid on a mason jar like so, right? So then, and then I can do all kind of crazy things with it. See what happened is now I can marry mason jar and microwave, right? So this is one example. You may see what's in here. This is my sponge nooker. I put my kitchen sponge in here, and then I rinse. After I washing my dishes, I squeeze all the liquid out, and I put in this a pint-sized mason jar. Open wide mouth mason jar. I close it. I stick it in the microwave a 50 seconds or 1 minute. And my kitchen sponge will never stink, never, and it lasts longer. It doesn't change color, and it's sterile, right? So that's one example that I can use to marry microwave oven with the mason jar. There are many uses for that, and of course I can do that because of the plastic lid and the mother of all valves. See, the mother of why it's so important. It's so essential, because if you put this in a microwave oven, you see what the steam pressure will build up and blow the lid off the thing and create a big mess and crack the thing.
It'd be bad.
But the mother of green valves, mother of all valve, allow the pressure to release over 3 psi. On the rest, the pressure will leave, so you keep boiling this thing. Not only that, because at the 3 psi, so it's really hot. The temperature actually inside go higher, and the steam pressure force the steam go to any nook and crannies of your product inside. Number one. Number two, when you stop microwave, all the heat stay in there residual heat stay in there for like 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes. The heat travel and diffuse and all over the place. So your product is totally, truly hot, even and deep in the corner of your kitchen sponge, right? And the third thing important is when the thing to cool down, after 5, 10 minutes, it's cool down, a vacuum will develop, all right? So if you have a valve that only allow gas to come out, after 10, 15 minutes, you cannot open the real thing because the vacuum already built up. That's so tight that you cannot open the lid. In order to open the lid, you have to put it back in the microwave, nuke it about 5 minutes to bring temperature, and quickly come out and open it. Because of the mother of all valves have the inlet valve from the center, that when the vacuum build increase to a certain level, it will allow air to go in, so that you don't it never get to the point when it's so tight you cannot open. So it's self-control. It controls the pressure build up, and it controls the vacuum result of vacuum when the thing cool down. So it's really cool. So with that, we can do example right now. We can do refill kitchen sponge. Everybody should have one of these things. You know why? Besides just sterilize this thing, because this is a good way for you to keep your kitchen sponge neatly in your kitchen sink area. When you want to wash dishes, you can fill with a little half of water. You put some soap in this jar, so you use it as the soaping agent. So you save soap and you save water. Whenever you want to need more soap, you put your sponge in here. You pick up some more soap and you wash your dishes. And you need some more, you put back in there. So you save some soap instead of putting soap in everything, and usually you waste it. Now we not only have a neatly place to keep it, and so then I'm sorry, I sound like a TV commercial guy, but
no, I wasn't going to interrupt. I was going to say, yeah, Trong, coming to homebrewerlab.com. Actually, well, this isn't even on your site yet, is it?
No, okay. I just made it.
Yeah.
Remember, this is not a company. We don't make things and we want to sell a million of them. We just make things and we want to share whoever wants to share.
But Josh has other plans. But go ahead. Keep going because, about all the people who are brand new, because I can already hear it in my head. They'd be like, what does this have to do with capturing yeast, Trong?
Yeah, no. Okay, well, that's all related. Believe me. And if you have a use for capturing yeast, harvesting yeast, you have a need to sterilize your kitchen sponge. Because
agreed. I connected the dots. Whenever you and I have private calls, you sell me on a million ideas, and you're not even trying to literally sell me. I'm talking about the metaphorical. You're just like, Josh, why are you doing it that way? Here, and then 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God, Trom's a genius. I got to change how I'm living.
So kitchen sponge, right? Everyone have a kitchen sponge. Why don't we do something? So I have this. Look what's in here. This is a pacifier sterilizer. Some of my friends just have baby. I give to them. They just love it because it's a tiny little 8-ounce mason jar, and you can stack 2 of these pacifier. You put a tablespoon of water. You close it. You stick in the microwave oven. Of course, you better have the microwave with the plastic lid, and the mother of all valves, and then a minute later you have sterilized. You have sterile pacifier, and you don't believe it, but my brother just become grandfather, and she said, "Man, I have to take care of the baby, and the baby just drops this thing all the time, and have to wash it. And when I wash it, I don't know where to put this thing." So I say, like, I will solve this problem for you. You can wash it, and you can keep it in here. So whenever you use it, you open, you give it to your grandchild. So that is a pacifier nuker. Of course, I have the brand name for this thing I'm thinking is called Nooker, Nooker, because like nuking thing, but it doesn't spell like Noo instead of Nu. And I also want a Nooker because it's a place to hold something. It's a nook to hold something. So it's a Nooker.
Always clever. I like it.
Man, okay, I forgot the lid that these people made. Even them have the little rib around it for grip, but they're not good enough. So I have this silicone band that the golden, the marigold color silicone band around it, so it creates a grip, right? It also allows you an insulator. So when you need to remove it, you can you can hold your finger around this marigold silicone band to carry the product outside without burning your finger, and so that worked out to be to be really nice. And there's a little air pocket behind it, so it's kind of served like an insulator. Especially if you only nuke it for a few. The white plastic and the glass jar get really hot. So you have to use some glove to put it on. But if you nuke something for 1 minute or so, you can put your finger and grab this, and so it's very, very convenient. So I have that for various things in my household. Every jar, of course, I have every jar here, every glass container have the green valve. We use that for cooking vegetable. We use it making instant noodle. We use it for storing food. And because of that, we can use it to vacuum. We put food in here, and we close the valve in the center to create a one-way valve, and we can vacuum it to keep the food last longer. That's why we call it the mother of all valves, because it's very, very useful. So now come to yeast thing. We say, well, when we have all this, why don't we just apply it to growing yeast? So what we do, if we take a quart-size mason jar, and a pint-size mason jar would be 32 ounces, and then we put on we put our lid, and then happen that there's something in the world very inexpensive, very available everywhere. They're called syringe filter. In hospital, when they want to inject you with stuff and they want to inject bacteria in your system, they put the filter in the syringe before it go in the needle. The syringe filter is so small, 0.22 micron, so bacteria cannot go through it. So to keep you alive by not injecting with crazy things. And these things I can buy a pack of 50 or 25 of these things like for $5 or $6 on Amazon. So, okay. So then with the syringe filter, what we can do then, we can put it on the mother of all valve, right? Now, and that being a syringe filter is microwave with autoclavable, which means that okay to heat it up. So we take this thing, we take the pint-sized mason jar, we put on the lid, we put on with the mother of valve, and we put the syringe filter on it, and we put it in the microwave, right? And we make our wood like a quart size, the pie size. This is actually, I got confused. This is the pie size is like 500 ml, and this is the quart size is 32 ounce, or roughly 1 liter. We put it in the microwave, and then we turn on our microwave at 100% power, and we need to watch it because every microwave is different, right? Different power levels. So with 900 watts, 1,000 watts, and with 1,200 watts. So you watch it until it starts to boil, the water to the boil, and you stop right away, and you adjust the power level down to like maybe 10 or 20%, and you run another 2-3 minutes. You keep an eye on it really close because you just want it to be simmering, for the next few minutes. And you have to be careful because during the boiling phase, every second counts. So the moment you see that thing start to boil, you stop it and adjust the power level down. Once you determine how it works with your particular microwave oven, you write it down. The next thing you know, if you have a programmable microwave oven, you say, well, give me 100% power for 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and then 10% for 3 minutes, and you walk away, and it works by itself. Now, once you take everything hot, right? You put it in. You have to be careful. You want to cool it down. If you have to do it right away, you put it in kind of a plastic container, and then you pour water down slowly. You pour slowly, a little bit at a time, so you kind of temper your glass because you don't want to shock it. Because if you shock it, you're gonna crack your glass. So what you put in here in the container, and I would find it in a really cool way. And I put a magnetic stirrer into my wood, and I put on my magnetic stirrer. I turn this thing on, right? And because the mason jar have the bottom kind of concave, so you have to kind of go slowly to start your magnetic stirrer slowly to the point so it just spin the right way. If you go too fast, the magnetic stirrer go crazy, So you had to cook it so that it can start and go. So we'll start going. Then you pour water through it, and you pour slowly from the bottom up, slowly to temper the glass, and then it cool down faster when you do this. See? So then, after a while, you change out the water if you don't have a small container. And I done this since we start talking. And right now, it already cooled down. It right now at the point of I can pitch the yeast. So right now, everything in here is sterile. Everything in here, the lid, the interior is sterile. The syringe filter is sterile. So it's so simple. I don't have to deal with Erlenmeyer flask. I don't have to do things. I just use my microwave, my mason jar, and these things are pretty, convenient, right? And now, how do I get the yeast out of here? This is my pot of brew. I mentioned that we just brewed like about 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. And I finished the beer. So it's still under pressure. So I depressurize it. And I hope you can see this. With almost no beer left behind. Okay? We basically, with our floating dip tube, of course, it's a floating dip tube in here. So it pour all the beer out. That's why we call our floating dip tube, and no beer left behind floating dip tube, because usually there were a little bit. Oh man, this smells really good. Okay, so to take it out, I usually would take a turkey baster, and I like to get either a glass or a non-metal with a book, and I need to sterilize this, right? So to sterilize this, I put this turkey paste either in a glass jar, glass food container this big, or many of you may not have it, or you get a plastic bag, a microwavable plastic bag like this. You put it in here, and you pour in some water. I just put it right in here. Actually, easy. I pour water from this, and I zip almost close. I leave it a little gap, right? And I put it in microwave, like for 1 minute. And I also will put, I don't know, you see 1 minute, and the heat, the microwave would turn the little water I put into steam and sterilize everything, right? And so I take that out, I cool it up, and I use the turkey paste. I suck up some of the yeast from the bottom, from the trup at the bottom, the sediment at the bottom. I transfer it to here, right? And then I spin it, and I don't have to worry about dirty air going through, or ants going crawl under the.
And you don't have to worry about making a whole batch of sanitizer, because you're, like you said, you're doing it so that you can do it quick and easy in the microwave. Like you said, you don't like, you're trying to, your goal was using things you already had and then improving that process, where, like you said, the average person listening to the show probably has mason jars. I bought some wide mouth ones just because they're easier to work with, but my wife had a ton of them. And as you're getting that out of the microwave too, I did want to tell people who are watching and or listening.
So you see, this come out of the microwave, it kind of puff up like this. I mean, the pressure build up, and it lets it sit in there. The nice thing about the pressure is that it forces the heat everywhere in here, right? So now,
I want to say real quick, the magnetic stirrer, guys, I'll put a link in the description if you're at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour, or if you're listening on whatever platform you listen to, you should be able to see all the show notes, because that is one piece of equipment you are going to need. That magnetic stirrer starter is pretty much an essential.
You don't really need. You can, if you're cheap like me, you can just swirl it every now and then.
Okay. Oh, really? I thought it doesn't have to be more vigorous.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you don't have it, you remember another thing. I'm from Vietnam, so what I tell people is I use Ho Chi Minh Trail technology. You know how the Ho Chi Minh,
Yes,
the
I
Viet Cong, the
do.
North Vietnamese beat the South Vietnamese with American support. And they use basically bamboo and bicycle.
That's right.
To go bring all the things down to the trail in
The
the mountain
tunnels.
called the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Yeah.
And so and they do amazing thing with that. So I learned from them Ho Chi Minh Trail technology. Cheap and cheer.
I love it. I love it. Anyway.
Okay, now ready to transfer. This thing is everything in here is sterilized. No, I don't need the long tube. Look, I don't need because my thing touch so I can remove it. But I just want to say in case you have in case you have a really long deep fermenter, you take this in here. You take out this much. All right.
And he's about halfway, guys. If you're an audio listener, he has this big old turkey baster, and it's about halfway full from the trub yeast cake at the bottom of his fermenting vessel, which is in this case the pot of brew.
And then you put it in here, you spin it, and then that's it. That's that, and then you actually can do 3 of these jars. You have yeast that last you a long time. You give it to friends and whatever, but.
Now, here's a common question, Tron. Let me interrupt real quick to interject it. Does you have to make wort, right? And we didn't really, we glanced over that, and you don't have to go deep into how to make wort as much as does the type of wort you make matter in regards to the strain you're using? Like, do you just suggest, hey guys, just get a light spry malt from Muntins or whatever, just you know what I mean? Like there's so many different kinds of bases you could make for your wort. Do you change your starter for the sake of the yeast you're going to be propagating?
If you're a purist and you want to submit your beer to competition and so on and so forth, you may want to you diet. If you want to make beer to drink, I wouldn't care so much. Especially the thing about this is this is some of the thing that I do. I get a mason jar like this, right? And mason jar, I put a little water in here. I close the lid. I stick in a microwave for 1 minute, just create the steam to sterilize my jar, right? So I take it out, and then when I make my wort, I do a batch of beer, like a 5-gallon, whatever, and I bring to a boil. When it starts begin to a boil, I just transfer. I take a scoop of wort, everything hot, sterile. I pour in this thing. Like I pour a little bit. I steal some wort from my fermenter, my pot.
Oh, brilliant! Because what you're doing is you're future proof.
I close it, and then I use this here to cool it down, right? So in like 15 minutes or so, this thing will be cooled down, and I pitch my yeast in here.
Yeah.
So I can pitch in yeast in here. I spin it for the next 2 hours, 3 hours. While I'm processing my hop, I chilled it down, and I can use that very thing to pitch the yeast, right? During that time, I double or triple my population of my yeast because yeast usually double their population every depending on the temperature, but typically every 60 minutes or so. So then I use that to pitch my yeast, or I can use that. I can continue to grow that thing for the next day or so. Then that's going to be my yeast that I will grow. Or I create a batch like this, like 500 milliliter of my yeast slurry, and I only pitch half of it in here, and I just use the other half in the refrigerator for the next thing. So there are many ways that you can do. You have to be a little clever. You just dump, a packet of yeast in your 500 ml. You spin it up in 2-3 hours, you have plenty of yeast. You don't need to pitch all 50 ml. You only need like maybe 200 ml or 150 ml. You can have another 300 ml for the next 2-3 batches. That's ready to go. That's just an example. The long and short to answer your question is the wort to grow is not that critical. It may critical for you if you want to make some beer and you don't want to use the wort for dark color. right? You want to be a lighter color. And if you don't want to use the wood that have already so heavy hops in there, so that's why I say if you want to steal some of your wood, you want to do it before, before you put some hop in there, if you care. Having the hop in the wood is also good for growing yeast because hop is antimicrobial. So hop wood is good for growing yeast because it's antibacterial.
I learn something every day. You're saying beer is a health drink because of the hops. I love it.
so you can use hop as a way to keep the bad guys at bay.
That's right. That's right. I don't spend money on probiotics. I'm an alcoholic. Anyway, no. Kidding aside, I do want to ask because I misspoke about. Hey, I mean, I'm going to put a link in there because I did buy a stir starter at some point because it makes life easier. But could you at least tell the viewers at home what is the absolute essential equipment for someone looking to begin harvesting or propagating, growing, whatever you want to call it, with yeast as a home brewer?
For a few bucks, for a few dollars, cheap. Remember, cheap and cheer, right? You get a lid, like an all plastic lid, and unfortunately, you have to get the mother of valve for me because I'm the only one that have it in the world because I have the patent, right? So that in like just a couple of bucks, right? And you have to drill a hole. The key thing is you have to drill the hole through it precisely 3/8 of an inch, but perfectly round rim. So that if you put like a drill bit, you drill it, the rim will be all jagged and it doesn't make good seal. And so because of that, it's probably better just contact me and buy the thing from me. I already pre-made it with the hole, the right hole, and the seal and the grip, the anti-grip thing on it. So that remember, I'm not a company. I just make this to help the world.
Right, but you made it clear earlier that the mason jar instead of the Erlenmeyer flask will work. Obviously, when this goes for sale, I am imagining we're going to carry it as well on Keg Connection. But in case we don't,
have to.
It seems like a no-brainer. But anyway, let's pretend we don't.
You don't make a lot of profit on it, but you should have it.
Yeah, Tron, jokes on you. I don't make a lot of profit ever on anything. I don't know how Todd's doing, but I don't. But this in regards to making it, you need a turkey baster. I imagine you used one. Those are dirt cheap. Okay. You need a microwave. Everybody probably already has a microwave.
Yes.
And then we're there, right? That's basically it. That's the essentials.
And the regular formula, when you have like DME, try more extract, you usually use about 10 grams per 100 ml of water. So that gives you about the gravity of the 1035, 1040, and which is typically pretty good for yeast. So remember, 10 grams per. So you have five. This is you use a pint, so the 500 ml. So you put in like 50 grams of dry malt extract. A lot easy to handle dry malt extract and liquid malt extract for this sort of thing. Or you can steal some of your wood from your kettle.
That seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, you've already got it there in front of you. It's not extra work. I'm with you in being cheap. I'll not accuse you of this, but I am also, Trong, if you don't know, I am also lazy. So this is speaking my language. This is speaking my language, man, where it's like, how can I, well, that was the whole, I'll go back to Potter Brew. And again, guys, I'm staying surface level on some things because we are going to have a future episode all about the Potter Brew because I am also very excited about it. Trong was gracious enough to teach me how to brew on one. It's not for everybody, but Trong is convinced it will be. You are very convinced, and I want to give you that platform. But what I was bringing up Potter Brew again is that everything you've ever introduced to me in my life has been about streamlining things such as The floating dip tube, dude, the reason we sell so many is because people, they use it and they become believers, and then they come back and they buy 5 more for every keg they have.
It's incredible. The repeat buy customer, you know that, you saw that, right? People,
It's incredible.
I amazed. People buy like, I say, you don't need that many. You only need one for your fermenter. You don't need it in your beer clear. But people will say, I put one in there.
We don't listen to you.
Cake.
You don't tell me what to do, Trong. I have 5 of them. It's true. Every serving keg, I have the floating dip tube on my fermentation vessel, and I'm double dipping, baby. I'm putting it on my serving keg too. And my beer, like I have a Kolsch that's in there. My daughter, we're having a celebration for my daughter come September, and the second keg of Kolsch, and so I've been trying off the top of it, and it was the second runnings of a batch we brewed in February, or maybe in January, and so it had stuff come up with it as the second keg always does in a 10-gallon batch, in my experience. And the first time I sampled it before putting a floated on it, cloudy, some floaties. Okay. I put a floated on it. Oh my gosh, this thing is like crystal clear. It's beautiful. It's incredible. And I know the Picnic Tap 2.0 is your baby. It is a great faucet. I'm not knocking it, but there's something about that CM Becker event faucet. This isn't sales, Josh, guys. Don't turn it off yet. But I do love the beer gun. Oh, wait, I can't say that. John Blitman's going to sue me. The elongated figure of the device, of the party faucet from Sam Becker that I just appreciate having. It's like a soda gun at the bar. I just like that mechanism. But yours is much more compact. And again, you made the Pit and Tap because you were like, I don't want to have a bunch of tubing in my fridge. I want to be able to just pour and be able to have complete good, perfect pour, and then close the valve, and it's not taking up any more space than it has to. I understand.
It had to fit in my refrigerator, and it does not have to drip in the refrigerator, because my wife would not let me put anything in the refrigerator with a typical Picnic Tap, because it drip like crazy.
And that's what this all boils down to, is we can't piss off our wives. That's what this all goes down to.
Well, a lot of them, you're lucky enough that they allow us to toy with our hobby, beer brewing, with all the money we spend on this. That's the least thing. We make sure they don't have to do so much work, especially dripping.
God, my wife doesn't know.
And that is the purpose why I create a Picnic Tap, because the drip, I do, everything else is perfect until to serve the beer. The drip and the beer line flying all over the place is terrible.
And I will say this too, as we're wrapping up the show. We were both kind of wondering. I told you before we recorded, or I told you when we talked on the phone last week, hey, if it's only like a 40, because you were like, it's gonna be kind of quick, Josh. And I was like, okay, that's fine. If it's a 40-minute episode, whatever. Look at this. I was able to drag it out. But before we do wrap it up, I do want to give a spoiler to people consuming this episode, whether you're at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, or you're listening to us like dozens of other people do, audio only. Trong and I are going to start live streaming in the near future on the Potter Brew, at least, and doing cooking on it, because you're talking about versatility. I know you already sold all the new parents on this lid, just on the sterilization factor, between all the new dishes that new parents have to wash and all the pacifiers. I'm not gonna lie, I wish I did have this. My wife did most of the washing anyways, because I'm a bad person, but when I did have to do it, this would have been terribly convenient. But yeah, we've already sold them on that. You are the versatility of the Potter Brew. I did like brewing a 2-gallon batch. That's not necessarily my, bigger batches or whatever for the parties and all that. Sure, Trong has an answer for that. But also what I like about the Potter Brew is its versatility to do things that aren't just beer. Like I cannot wait for the live stream someday where you teach me how to make kimchi. That's what I want. That's what
you can make kimchi. We can have a show how to show people, and that should. If you cannot, the smell of kimchi bother you, then you can make sauerkraut. And the sauerkraut that I made with my technology, it tastes like coleslaw. So I tell people I make sauerkraut, sauerkraut and crunchy and like coleslaw. So therefore, and it's dry, and it's not smushy, and it's crunchy. And I can show people how to do that. We should make a show. And you can see, I'm not interested in just making, millions of dollars. I just want to see people do these things.
Yeah.
I teach classes, just want to see people do these things, enjoy it.
Trong, if you're not interested in making money, I've got a lot of ideas, my friend. We're cooking. We are cooking. No, we do need to do. We've talked about content and all that. Come a month or two is when it's really going to pick up for you and I in regards to starting a live stream. When the Pot of Brew, well, first off, again, if people want to be in the pilot system, do they just email you? What's the best way to get a hold of you if they're interested in the pilot system version of your Pot of Brew?
Well, does it email me Trong@Homebrewer Lab, and I'll take care of it. I don't have too many right now. I only have like 20 units left. After the 4 units go to South Africa, I have another batch to go to Thailand next week, and I have more coming. But I think you would enjoy it. All the people who have had it enjoy it, love it, and the key thing is the beer is very good. Making with the Pot of Brew. Why? Because the technology is number one. You use heat to sterilize everything, so it saves you that worry, but also save you a lot of the time to clean up and to it give you perfect temperature control and pressure, because it comes with the best tool. We heard the jellyfish. We haven't talked about it. The jellyfish spunding valve is really cool. You used it. What do you think of it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I didn't go too deep on Pot of Brew just because I know we'll do a whole episode on it. But yeah, spoiler, it is awesome. The jellyfish, it's his new version of the Spundit, which you'd agree with me. I'm not throwing you under the bus. The most over-engineered spunding valve ever created. But it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I've never had an easier spunding valve to use that was reliable too. You can't have them both up until now, in my opinion, where, yeah, this one's easy, but is it accurate? I've had that issue with some before. This one was, hey, I know when I go to the green line, I'm at 10 or is green 5?
5.
Green's 5, pardon me. Green's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, another thing, you may not know that, but I also make a kit for people with Spundit 2.0 can upgrade to Spundit 3.0, and that kit is only $20.
Oh, no kidding! So I could convert my other one. Hey,
the Spundit valve that I sell right now is $71. So I know it's expensive, but all the parts in there are expensive. They are way better than for home brewing, right? But they're actually medical products, so they're good for respirator for infant. I mean, you have to feed the infant correctly or you kill them, right? So that thing is pretty precise. It's way overkill for home brewing.
But it's perfect. But yeah. And
like, it's really good. Now, if you already have a regular spunding valve, you can upgrade to the jellyfish. The reason why the jellyfish is fun, it's small, it's compact, it's transparent. That's why I call it jellyfish. So when you see what happened, if something happened inside, you see it, and it's so easy to take it apart and put it back together. And everything is finger tight. You only need a screwdriver to remove 4 bolts, to set everything fall apart. Everything falling apart, and everything put back together with hand screw, and it takes like just a couple minutes, and you're done.
Yeah, super easy.
I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah. And
it never died. The freaking thing is, you can always upgrade it. It feels like a bicycle. So if the tire go out, you change the tire. If the brake go down, it's like you buy one and you use it forever.
You told me that.
Same thing with the Pot of Brew. See, the thing is, remember I keep saying that I'm cheap, so everything I make had to last a long time. This thing is landfill proof.
You told me, Josh, that because I'm relatively young, I'll be 39 in a few months, and you were like, oh, this will outlive you. And I said, well, joke's on you, buddy. You're going to outlive me with my family history. So that's not very long, but yeah, your equipment is durable. I'll say that. And people who are interested, KegConnection.com. We don't sell all of Tron's stuff yet, but you can get yourself an additional 5% off your order when you use promo code HHH. We have for sure the Float It. you should take advantage of that if you haven't already. That is my product of the year for right now. We're in August, so I might change my mind by December after utilizing some of Trong's other stuff and the jellyfish and all that, and the pot of brew, obviously. But the Float It 2.0 that you have right now is my product of the year, not just from Homebrewer Lab, from everybody. But the stuff that we don't sell at catconnection.com, just go direct to Trong. Email him, trong@homebrewerlab.com, or go shop on his website. Some of the stuff, though, here's what's the best part about Trong. And Trong, we have dozens of people listening, so I don't want to overwhelm you with business. But if Trong has something on his site and you need it customized or wondering if there's, hey, can I use it this way or not? Trong, you have helped so many people in our audience already completely customize their order. I can't thank you enough. I get hit up all the time. Oh, I needed actually this for my Float It, and Trong made the custom line. Or, oh, I needed this kind of fitting, and Trong did it. So I appreciate you taking care of the people we send your way.
I want you to ask every time you and I get together, we kind of go all over the place.
Everywhere.
We talk about all the little crazy things. So make sure we ask your audience if that's okay, or that buck the hell out of them. If buck the hell out of them, we better stop doing that.
No, you're right. And I'm going to wrap up this episode on that note, because we could do a whole another hour on something other than yeast harvesting. In the show notes, what I'll have to do for the titles, or for the chapters rather, is say the actual conversation about yeast harvesting starts here and then it ends here, and then I'll title the other stuff as Gibberish 1 and Gibberish 2. So that'll give people a very fair heads up. Trong, my friend, I sincerely appreciate your time again. I always look forward. We talk all the time, so I look forward to the next phone call, and of course, the next time I get you on the show. So thank you, my friend, for your time.
Okay, bye-bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. Or even better, be our best friend. Get yourself a $25 gift card and leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntons Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntons, give them a try by joining the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a packet of Imperial Yeast along with delicious recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Again, I implore you, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.